Welcome to The Explainer, where our whole mission is taking complex documents and turning them into clear, simple guides.
So, today we're tackling a technical PDF about the Python programming language. And you know the kind I'm talking about, right? The kind that feels overwhelming, just a wall of code and jargon that's thrown at you with almost no explanation.
But here's the thing. What if I told you that the most important ideas hidden in all that mess are actually incredibly simple? That once we clear away all the clutter, there are really just a few core concepts you need to get started. Okay, let's dive in and see for ourselves.
We're going to kick things off by figuring out how to send our very first message to the computer. To do this, we need to use something the source document mentions over and over again, a function.
Think of a function as just a command you can give the computer. It's a prepackaged instruction. And the most fundamental command in all of Python, the very first one we're going to use, is the print function.
To use it, it's actually super simple. You just type the command, print, and then you follow it with a set of parentheses. Inside those parentheses, you put your message inside quotation marks. This is basically you telling the computer, hey, this is the exact text I want you to show. So when we run this,
Boom! The computer does exactly what we asked. It prints our exact message right back to us on the screen. And just like that, you've written your first line of code. You've had your first successful conversation with the computer.
Now this is what's really happening behind the scenes. See, the computer isn't performing some kind of magic, it's just following a clear, logical process. It sees the function name, it checks what's inside the parentheses, it runs the code for that function, and then it comes right back, ready for your next instruction.
Okay, so now that we can talk to the computer, we need a way to store information so we can actually use it later.
and this is where the source document gets really confusing. It just throws this jumbled list of literals and data types at you. It's a mess. So what we've done is pull out the essential pieces and organize them so they actually make sense.
It really boils down to three basic types of data you'll use all the time. You've got integers, which are just whole numbers. You've got strings, which is just a fancy word for text. And then booleans, which are super simple, just true or false values. And that's really it. Numbers, text, and true-false.
To keep track of all this data, we use something called a variable. And honestly, the easiest way to think of a variable is just like a labeled box. You give the box a name, and then you can put your information right inside it. So here, we're creating our labeled box, and we're calling it message. Now that equals sign, that's not for math. It's an assignment operator. It just means put the stuff on the right into the box on the left. So we're just storing our string of text inside that message variable. Simple as that. Now, naming your variables has a few simple rules, which, of course, the source document just lists without much context. Basically, they can't start with a number, and they can't contain most special characters. The pro tip? Just stick to letters, numbers, and underscores, and you'll be fine.
All right, so we can give commands and we can store information. Now let's combine those two things and teach our program how to make some simple decisions. This is where it gets really fun.
A computer makes decisions by asking really simple questions. Questions that can only have a true or false answer. And to do this, it uses things called comparison operators.
These are the basic tools we use to build those questions. And hey, notice that double equal sign? That's for asking, is this equal to? It's different from the single equal sign we use to assign variables. These little symbols right here are the building blocks for logic in your code.
So to use these, we create an if statement. We're basically telling the computer, if the condition that follows is true, then I want you to execute the code below it. So here, we store the number 22 in a variable called age. Then we ask, is the value in age greater than or equal to 18? Well, since 22 is greater than 18,
that condition is true, so the code inside the if statement gets to run and our message gets printed. The program just made a decision all by itself.
But we can also add an else block. This is what the computer will do if the if condition turns out to be false. It gives it an alternative path. It's just a simple fork in the road. If this is true, go left. Otherwise, go right.
So, after digging through that really messy, confusing technical document, we've managed to pull out these simple but really powerful ideas that are at the absolute heart of what programming is.
And here's the key takeaway. Almost everything you'll ever do in programming, no matter how complex it gets, it all builds on these three fundamental ideas. You tell the computer what to do, you give it information to remember, and you tell it how to make decisions. That's the whole game.
you know, we pulled this quote directly from one of the first jumbled examples in that source PDF. At the start of this, it was just text on a page, but now you know exactly what it means, how it works, and how to write it yourself. You've unlocked it.
You've taken the chaos from that document and turned it into clear, usable knowledge. You've taken the first and most important step. The foundation is set. So the only question is, what will you build? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.